Well, what Spider fans want is more Spider-Man, and it looks like we're gonna get a lot in the MCU. We've been hearing a lot about Tom Holland extending that contract, and now we've got a bit of an update from a couple of Hollywood insiders, and it seems like at this point, Tom Holland is gonna be the major focus of Marvel moving forward. And it seems like at this point, Tom Holland's Peter Parker is going to be a central focus of the MCU moving forward. Probably a smart move. Well, there has been a lot of hullabaloo about Marvel Studios and Sony and whatever's going on with Spider-Man 4. It seems like all signs are now pointing to Tom Holland's Peter Parker finally teaming up with Tom Hardy's Venom and set to face off with the god of the symbiotes, Null. Now, if we jump in the time machine and go back a couple of years, the deal between Marvel and Sony kind of fell apart during the production of Far From Home. And for a bit of time, it looked like Sony was going to take up the third Spider-Man movie without Kevin Feige and without it being integrated into the MCU. Now, fans were pretty upset about this, and thanks to a lot of backlash and a drunk Tom Holland reaching out to everybody in charge, they managed to cobble together the pieces for No Way Home and at least finish out the trilogy. Now, at that point, it was pretty unclear whether Tom Holland was going to return again, and without any contract, even Holland cast some doubt on his future as the character. Since then, we found out a lot of new details, and we do know he is indeed returning for Spider-Man 4, and we're also hearing that there might be a lot more Spider-Man in the MCU, and that's where today's story comes in. Now, this comes via multiple scoopers, and we always like to say, if it's not from Kevin Feige or Marvel Studios directly, or in this case even Sony, we want to take it with a grain of salt. We're also a little skeptical of anonymity, and one of these sources is anonymous, so that to me always plays against their validity. Now, earlier today, scooper Daniel Rickman chimed in and talked a little bit about the plans for Spider-Man Beyond Spider-Man 4. Now, what he is saying is he's heard Spider-Man has a huge role in Avengers Doomsday, and it's definitely bigger than the part he had in both Infinity War and Endgame, suggesting to me he's actually going to be probably one of the leads for that project. Now, there's no mention of Secret Wars by Dan, although I have to imagine he will be back for the part. I can't imagine a Secret Wars without Spider-Man, and these films are likely filming back to back since they have 1 year release windows between them, so if he's doing one, I feel like it's safe to say he's doing two. Now, this is where the story starts to get a little bit bigger, and this comes from an anonymous source, My Time to Shine Hello. Now, what My Time is saying is that, quote, the new Spider-Man Sony deal will have Tom Holland reprising his role as Peter Parker Spider-Man in 3 more solo movies, Spider-Man 4 through 6, and 3 additional MCU movies, including Secret Wars and 2 others. The previous deal only covered No Way Home and the Avengers, and part of the deal was for him to have a huge role to play in the Avengers films. Now, if, and it's a big if, this turns out to be accurate, it means that Spider-Man will not only have a massive presence in both the conclusion of the Multiverse Saga and Secret Wars, but in whatever new world Marvel is laying out moving forward after the Secret Wars, quote, soft reboot. This could lead to the character being as huge in the MCU as Iron Man, and that's already a pretty close comparison, and does likely mean he will show up in other MCU movies, with many people speculating he could show up in the Fantastic Four, since him and Johnny Storm have a huge relationship in the comics. Now, as far as Spider-Man 4 goes, the only full details we do know is that Tom Holland is set to return, Destin Daniel Cretton will direct, and Chris McKenna and Eric Summers are currently writing the script with a release date of July 24th, 2026. Now, I think there's no reason to believe that Spider-Man won't be huge to the future of the MCU, and most of these quote scoops seem to line up with what we already know. It would be pretty foolish for Marvel to waste this character, and honestly, Tom's a great actor. He's not found some of the same level of success outside of the MCU as inside the MCU, and like many other actors point to, they love playing Marvel parts because it keeps their career high profile, delivers a huge paycheck, and allows them to do the smaller, more intimate projects many actors want to dive into, but simply can't afford to or fit into their schedule. Spider-Man is Marvel's marquee character. It doesn't surprise me at all that they're finding a way to work with Sony to keep him around, and honestly guys, I think over the next 10 years, we're going to see a lot of Tom Holland Spider-Man, but we'll have to wait and see.